You're listening to the Power and Potential podcast, and I'm your host, Mariam Butu. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Today, I want to talk to you about the fear of judgment. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you say that you care about what other people think about you? 10 would mean that you care a lot, and 1 would mean that you don't care at all. So think about that. You don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell anyone for that matter, but pick a number so that you can work with that throughout this episode. So if I give you a little bit of background about me in terms of fear of judgment, I would say that growing up, I never really cared what anyone thought of me, except for my parents. I cared so much about what they thought and whether or not I was meeting their expectations. I don't remember being overly preoccupied with the opinions of teachers or any other authorities. I started to think a little bit about what boys thought of me back in grade 7 or 8. And that's when the crushes started. So that makes perfect sense. And I think that's pretty normal at that stage of our lives. I didn't notice, though, that I really cared about what people thought of me until after I graduated from university. So by then, I was an adult. And the truth of the matter is that we only care what other people think of us when we are different than the people around us. So the earlier that you feel different than your peers, the earlier you likely started to think about the opinions of other people. So if you've ever been in a situation in your life where you were going against the grain, you were trying to do something completely different than what's most common around you, then you probably started feeling this fear of judgment creeping up. The truth is that we have been socialized to be the same as everyone around us. It has been ingrained in our minds that there is just one path to success, one path to happiness, right? And when you challenge that idea, you absolutely will face resistance from the people around you. There is no question about that. So there's this quote that I absolutely love that I'm going to share with you, and it's by Theodore Roosevelt. And this is what he says. "It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out where the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done it differently. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with sweat and dust and blood, who strives valiantly, who comes up short again and again and again, who in the end may know the triumph of high achievement, and who when he fails, he does so daring greatly." I love this quote because it is a solid reminder that the opinions of others do not hold the importance that we so often assign to them. They aren't that powerful. They have as much power as we choose to give them. There have been so many moments in my life where I received so much criticism about what I wanted to do. I was doing things differently. I was forcing people to think outside the box and explore options they've never even imagined that they would have to. That discomfort on its own that they felt because of me and my choices were causing them to be negative and critical towards me. The first big example I can share with you is when I wanted to go on an international internship back in 2007, which was the same year that I graduated from university. I knew that presenting this idea to my dad would be rough. I knew his automatic answer when I asked his permission would be a firm no, but his opinion really mattered to me, and I was still living at home, and I grew up wanting his acceptance and approval more than anything else. So when I did bring it up, which, by the way, I did very strategically, maybe that's a conversation for another day, he honestly couldn't understand it. He couldn't understand my reasoning. He didn't understand why the heck I would want to do such a thing. He couldn't put the pieces together at all. I remember he said the following words to me. He said, "I came to Canada and started a life here to give you a better life. I left poverty so you don't have to go back there. And that's where you're choosing to go?" Like, he was really perplexed. Like, he just didn't get it. And his perspective made sense, right? It was a big deal that one of his kids, especially a girl, wanted to travel to a third world country on her own. He had every reason in the book why I shouldn't go. Every single reason. And even until the night before, he would say things like, "If you want to go, go, but I don't approve of this." And that just broke my heart. I remember sitting on my bed, bawling, not knowing what to do, because I couldn't fathom the idea of letting him down. But at the same time, I had my ticket booked and everything was ready to go. I couldn't easily let go of the idea of going either. I had a huge urge inside. I had applied months earlier and I finally got the position. It was last minute, and I felt like it was meant to be because I actually didn't get it the first time around, and somebody pulled out of the experience just a couple weeks before departure, and that's when they called me. So I guess I was next on the list, and they said, "Look, like, we're looking for somebody who can leave in a couple weeks. Like, could you leave in 2 weeks. And I was like, yes. I didn't even question it. I just said yes right away because it felt like the absolutely most perfect thing that I could have done at that time. It felt like the right thing to do. My dad, of course, was trying to protect me. He was having a hard time letting go of the fact that I was a grown woman now and wanted to be out on my own in the world. And I understand him and love him for that. But I knew deep down that he didn't understand me and my perspective. He didn't understand like my needs in that moment. And it was my job essentially to show him that, but it was also my job to do what I feel is right for me and not back down because someone else who is important in my life disapproves of my decisions. I was lucky in that my dad eventually did come around and he gave me his blessing, but so many other critics showed up during the 9-month period that I was away. The internship I took was not a moneymaker, that's for sure, but it was absolutely by far the most life-changing thing I've ever done, ever. Even till this day, it is definitely the biggest thing that has impacted my life. So no one saw the value that I had been experiencing because no one was in it. No one was having the exact same experience as I was. It was my job to show them that, and it was my job not to back down, regardless of whether or not they saw my perspective and bought into my reasoning. I have so many examples like this in my life, and I didn't realize that it was because I was being different. Because I was doing things that are outside of the norm. These critics just kept showing up in my life. Deciding to go out on my own was another massive thing that I did in my life that just attracted all the critics. Quite frankly, I started my businesses when I wasn't financially secure. I was struggling hard during that time. So many people said things to me like, it seems like it's not working. How long are you going to stick it out? Or, don't you think it would be better to just get a job where you can make consistent income every month? But what they didn't see is that I love my work to death. I love creating content that inspires people and launches them into action. I love seeing that other people are impacted by my work and that I can coach people to become the very best version of themselves. Like that gives me a level of satisfaction that I've never felt any time in my life in any job that I've ever done, right? And they also don't understand what it feels like to actually shape your life the way you want it to be, in terms of like adding in all the things that you really want to have in your life and removing as much of the rest as possible. Most people come with the programming that that's not possible and that life should be hard and that work should be hard. And, you should want to, look forward to your weekend because work is so hard and not working is so great. And that's not how I live my life at all. I want to run my businesses because I want to do things my way. I want to do the things that I love to do, that I'm good at, and that make the biggest impact. And that's what I'm doing. And if that means at that time that I wasn't making enough money, that I was stressed out, that I was struggling, I was worried about the future, but you know what? That was a trade-off that I was willing to engage in. Like I was totally good with that. And yes, I was stressed and yes, I was struggling, but I knew that it was just a matter of time that things ended up working out. And the thing is this, is like the more you focus on you and the more you're confident about who you are and what you want, and then you align your life with that, the more confident you're going to be when these critics show up in your life and try to tell you to do things differently, or that you're not doing it right, or that something's got to change, or whatever it is. But that really comes from this sense of clarity around who you are, and then the confidence to really like live your way the way you want to, and know that you are in alignment and you feel good about that. So it takes a lot of work, but when you get there, it's amazing. Now, I'm not saying that continuing on for as long as I did was smart, but I did what I did. And looking back now, that period of my life was a huge learning experience. I learned so much. It was unreal. And that learning is what brought me to this point, the point that I'm at today, where I'm fully capable of serving on a much higher level and much more effectively. I was in the arena, you see. They were the critics. They had a different life, a different perspective. They weren't in the arena with me. They didn't see at all what I was creating and the impact that I was making. And they definitely couldn't feel what I was feeling all along. And I could go on and on with all the examples that I can come up with from my own life, but I won't share them all here as I want to keep this episode a little bit short and sweet for you. The point is that next time you feel like you're worrying a lot about what other people think or say about what you're doing, remember that they are not the ones that are doing it. You are. They often think they know what's best for you. Sometimes they just want to protect you. But more often than not, that just reflects what is best for them and not what's best for you. Remember, if they are not in the arena and they're not trying new things every day and they're not failing every single day and they're not being courageous every single day, then their opinion shouldn't hold much power to you. It's just not as valuable. And I know that's bold, and I know it's a little bit harsh, especially when we're talking about people that we love, but it is the truth. You need to be able to do you, especially if you are being brave and courageous and doing the things and failing. That's fantastic, because you are getting closer and closer to the life that you absolutely love, and that is what it's all about, right? So I want to know what you thought about this short episode. Please do hit me up and let me know either on Instagram or in a review on iTunes or Google Play what you thought. What was your key takeaway? What was the value that you took out of it? I would love to know. Once again, I am always on Instagram and I'm always answering my DMs. So come on over there and let me know in a private message even. I just want to know what you found the most valuable and how this episode impacted you. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode here on the Power and Potential podcast. I cannot wait to chat with you again next week. And before I go, I just want to give you a quick reminder. I run 2 webinars live every single week. And what we discuss in those webinars is all about clarity, how to get more clarity about who you are and what you want and how you want to live your life. We talk about confidence and we talk about courage. And those to me are the 3 things that build the foundation for you to be able to actually successfully design the life you absolutely love. So if you are interested in learning more about that, it's completely free, it's live, it's fun. Of course, you're going to be chilling with me, so why wouldn't it be fun? Come on over to the show notes, hit up the show notes. I will put the link down there, and then you can sign up for whichever webinar fits your schedule the best, and then we will connect on that day. So until then, I hope you have an amazing day, and I will catch you in the very next episode. Talk to you soon. Bye.